Hi, I am Bhavik Thakkar. Welcome to Btitude. If you're more comfortable with Hindi language, please hit the I button and it will take you to the Hindi version of the exact same video. But if you are comfortable with English, let's carry on. Well, in this particular video, we are going to take some questions which are asked in recent examination. So these questions are very important. That is number one thing. Number two, these are new pattern questions. That means these are not the typical questions that have been asked for say 10 years or something like that. These are very newly designed questions. So they are very important because they are also asked in exam, and I have actually picked up some really difficult questions as well. So in this particular video, we are going to solve these questions with the Btitude methodology. Now, most of you, in case you are not aware of what Btitude methodology is all about, first we will have a look what exactly it is. Fine. What kind of the shortcut is Btitude method? And next we will take those difficult questions which are new pattern questions and are asked in recent examinations, and we are going to solve them something like this. So let's get started. Alright, so let us first understand what exactly do I mean when I say Btitude methodology, right? So to understand what is Btitude methodology, let us first of all understand which are the different ways of solving a question, right? So when you are supposed to solve a math question, which are the various means or methods that you usually follow? The first method is pretty easy, pretty important to understand because this is the traditional method, right? Throughout our schooling, we have been solving the question using equations, assume x, assume y, right? Make those equations and solve them. So this is the traditional method because we have been doing it since school. It's pretty easy for us. But the problem with these methods is that it takes lots of time, and time is money in this competitive examination, right? We cannot afford to apply more time to solve a question. We cannot spend more time to solve a question. Fair enough, right? What could be the alternative method then? The next method could be going by options, elimination method. Because in most of the examination, in most of the questions, they are MCQs, right? Multiple choice question. So we are given some options, right? So what about going by an option? That could be a good strategy too, but only for some questions, because in some questions they are framed in a manner where you cannot go by an option anyway, right? Now, some students think that the best shortcut is the formula method, where you are supposed to cram, you are supposed to mug up various formulas for a particular type of questions. So if a particular type of question comes up, you just apply that formula, put the values, solve it, and get your answer within some seconds. That looks really lucrative and attractive, but the problem with this method is you will have to cram or mug up thousands of formulas and for each and every scenario. And still, if there is a new scenario, so if there is a new type of question which has been happening over the last couple of years, because the exams are becoming very competitive, right? It's a cutthroat competition, so even examiner is aware of this kind of cheating. Actually, it's just kind of a cheating, right? Your aptitude is not good. So what you are going to do? You are going to mug up a formula, apply it and get an answer. So it is not actually, if you get an answer with this method, it does not mean that actually your aptitude is good. You are just mugging up, right? So that is why this kind of the traditional questions are nowadays not asked in the examination. Only some questions would be there where you can actually apply the formula. So for rest of the questions anyway, this method is not going to work. Getting this? So what could be the next alternative? So that's the thing. That is what students don't do. Students don't use logical methods. They don't understand the logic behind the question. They don't develop lateral thinking, and that is all aptitude is all about. That is what real aptitude means, right? So now you will say, sir, then what is Btitude? So Btitude, first of all, because 80% of the questions are solved by this method, and this method is not taught anywhere, right? You are not taught logic anywhere because it is difficult to teach logic, right? It's really difficult, but we make that attempt because we have been doing so since last 15 years. We have got that expertise of teaching you the logic, and that's what we are working upon, right? So we will give you real logic. That means you will develop your real aptitude and you will be able to solve the questions in just a matter of seconds. Now, so Btitude is first of all teaching you that lateral thinking, and then it's not only about it. It's actually about giving you the ability to look at the question and find out the shortest method possible. As I told you, in 80% of the question, this method would be the shortest, but who knows? There would be some typical questions which are always coming up, and the traditional or logical methods could be a bit lengthier. Then we would also recommend formula for not many, maybe 3 or 4 formula, right? But that is important because most of the times one question of that particular type always comes. If you mug up the formula, that also helps. So we are not going to make you mug up lots of formula, only 3 or 4. That's about it for the whole arithmetic portion. All right. Next, going by an option will also teach you each and everything, so that just by looking at the questions, you will know which method will be the shortest. So our methodology, Btitude methodology, is nothing but as soon as you look at the question, if you figure out the logical method, if it is easy, you can apply it. 80% of the times that would happen. But in the remaining 20% of the times where you will find logical method is not easy to think of, or maybe logical method is not available at all, right? Then you will think, I'll have to make equation of formula. So next thing will be formula. If it is one of those typical question, just use formula, right? But maybe it may not be the case. Then you are left with another 2 options, right? Going by an option or framing an equation. Obviously, we would choose this one first. If it is possible to go by an option, that would be our third preference. And at last, if nothing else is possible, we would actually go by the traditional method, that is framing an equation. Getting it? So when we would be actually solving the questions, then you would realize more what exactly does this all mean. All right. So let's move to the questions now. All right. The questions, new pattern, difficult questions I have taken, as I told you earlier as well, right? So very important. So be there till the end. Let's start with the very first question. Look, the best way to learn is to think yourself on first, right? So think on your own first. That is very important because when you think, you learn, right? So pause the video, think about it, how to answer this question on your own. I'll remove this Hindi version so that I get some space, and let us solve this question. Look, first of all, it is the concept. If you don't know the concept, you cannot answer the question anyway, like, right? For example, right now this question is related to partnership topic, right? So you must be knowing that in partnership, the partners, if nothing else is given, if no condition is given, partners usually divide the profit in the ratio of capital into time. That's the basic concept, right? So in case I'm right now assuming that you know all those basic stuff, all right? So capital into time, as such we know ABC entered into a partnership with some amount. After 1 year, they increased their investment by this and this percentage respectively. That means for the first year, their investment, let us take as A, B and C only, all right? Now, after 1 year, they increased their investment by 200%. That means A's investment is now A plus 2A, 3A. So A for the first year, 3A for the second year, right? All right. Now, B increased by 25%. So for the next 1 year, his interest is, so he's increased it by, just a minute, they increased the investment by 25%. So it will become 1.25B, right? 1.25B and C 1.40B, right? 1.40C, sorry. So that's also understand. Capital into time, are you getting it? For first year, I am taking A, B and C. For second year, this will become 3A because he has increased it by 200%. So A plus 2A, it becomes 3A. B plus 0.25B becomes 1.25B. Are you getting it? Pretty straightforward. Now, after 1 more year, A and B withdrew their investment. So in the third year, A is investing 0, B is investing 0. But D joins, so C is still there, right? So C will again invest 1.40C more, 1.40C more, right? In the third year. and D is joining with a certain amount, so let us say D, right? So these would be their amount, right? So their capital into time is now this is nothing but 4A, right? This is nothing but 2.25B, right? This is nothing but 2.8 plus 1, 3.8C, and this is nothing but D. Fair enough. But they are saying this is in the ratio of this. So I would say, okay, 4 into what becomes 16? 4. That means A is nothing but 4. I will write it here. A is nothing but 4. Fair enough. All right. 2.25B is actually 18. So 2.25 into what is B? 2.25 into 2 will be 4.5, right? Into 4 will be 9. So into 8 will be 18. So B is nothing but 8, right? Now 3.8C is actually 19. 3.8 into 5, isn't it? Yes. So C is nothing but 5, right? And D is actually 7. So D is actually 7. Fair enough. There you go. So this is actually the ratio, right? This is not actually the number, right? Now they are saying this is just the ratio, right? It could be 4K, 8K, 5K, 7K. All right. Now they say if the difference between initial investment of A and C was 750. Now if this is just a replica, in my replica, what is the difference between A and C? A and C, the difference is 1. So if that one part is 750, find sum of initial investment of B and D. Initial investment of B and D, that is 8 plus 7, 15. If 1 is 750, 15 is how much? 15 into 750, right? There you go, should be easy. 7,500 plus 3750, 11,250, is it? Were there options? Were there any options? No. Okay, but most probably there would be option. Just look at the calculation. I didn't really calculate it. I think it should be fine because it should be 15 into 3 by 4, 15,000 into 3 by 4, 15,000 minus 1/4 of it. 15,000's 1/4 will be 3750. Yes, right? Yes, there you go, right? So 1100, 250. Fair enough, right? So that should be your method, right? So it was difficult, like, this is not a traditionally asked question. It's a bit different, but the way you can do it is pretty simple, right? And it is pretty traditional method as well, right? Nothing extraordinary I did, just the normal one, but I took this particular question because it was a bit differently designed. It's not a traditional question basically. So that's the problem with students. As soon as they look at the different kind of a question, they feel confused. They feel like, oh, this is kind of a question which I've never seen before, and then they will leave the question unattempted. Don't do that. As you saw, it was pretty easy, right? As you would just keep doing it, then you would find, okay, you can easily find the amounts and then straightforward, right? All right then. It was very easy question. Let's move on to the second question. Hopefully you can solve this out. Again, please pause this video. Try to do it on your own first. Very good question. All right. I'll remove this Hindi version. Let's try to understand how we can solve this. In a vessel, ratio of milk and water is this. When some liters of milk is added, the ratio becomes this. Now, as soon as I look at it, as soon as I'll read it up to this point, I'll directly do, or I'll directly understand that water is same, right? Because milk is added. So I would say, okay, water is here 3, here 6. So I double this. So I would take this 7:3 as 14 and 6, and I will take this as 17 and 6. So here I can understand that here 3 liters are added. So for me, my x is equal to 3. Just in my replica, not real figure, right? Real figure, if we know, then we would directly answer, but we don't know. This is just a replica, right? So my students would be knowing what the replica method is, and other student also. It should be easy. We are just, replica means just an example, my own example. All right. So we can, as soon as we read this much, within 5 seconds, I'll write this. All right. Next, now 3.5 liter of milk and 3 liter of water is added. So both of these are added, but these are not added into this. This is just the ratio. My example 17 and 6. This could be anything. It could be 170 and 60. It could be 1700 and 600. It could be anything. It could be even 34 and 12. I don't know what is it. So I cannot simply add it, right? Okay. When this is added, the ratio becomes 5:2. Then find the value of x. Okay. Now, look, there are two ways to do it. One, Because even, the logic, the first always logic, but the thing is that you may not actually strike the logic. The logic may not actually strike your mind. It's a bit typical, different kind of logic. So it may not be that easy to figure it out. But even equation method is pretty easy, because as soon as we know this, we know 17 and 6 is just a ratio, right? It is just a ratio. We can say 17x was there. What was it? Milk. Now 3.5 liter milk is added. Okay. And water was 6x. And 3 liter of water is added. Okay. And that ratio becomes 5:2. So even if you make one simple equation, the question can be solved anyway, right? There is a logic. I am also going to give you the logic, but logic, it depends. Okay. All the students may not develop that extent of logic where always logic will strike them. Okay. So at least you should be prepared. That's what Btitude is all about. We give you enough means, right? Enough weapons to fight in the war, so that you don't have to, bog down. You're always ready. If the one weapon is you cannot use, then at least you will be ready with the another weapon, right? So even if logic does not work, even normal equation is pretty easy. So how would you solve it? Very easy. Just put 2 here. So it would become 34x plus 7 is equal to 30x plus 15. So 4x is equal to 8. So x is equal to 2. There you go. You will find x is equal to 2. That means these numbers are actually not 17 and 6, but 34. And so if it is double, basically all the values are double, then this 3 will also be double. Your answer will be 6. Fine. Don't answer x is equal to 2, so 2. Alright, try to understand. These x is different from these x. This is the x given in the question itself. This is the x that I took as a variable. So don't think, okay, x is equal to 2, just take it. Fine, don't do that. This x is something that I took as a variable in this 17:6. But their x, fine, or else I would have taken, say, y, so that you don't make that mistake. But are you getting it? This is one way of doing it. Now, of course, there was a logical method as well, and it was very easy, wasn't it? It was very easy going by this kind of method. Now, the logic part. Now, logically, if you understand, if something is in the ratio of 5:2, all right, and if another mixture which is in the ratio of 5:2 is added to it, the ratio wouldn't change, right? The ratio would still remain the same. Like if wine and water are in the ratio of 3:4, if another mixture with the ratio of wine and water in the ratio of 3:4 is added to it, the ratio will still remain 3:4, right? Pretty easy to understand. So I would say, okay, if ratio is 17:6 and if something is added where water is added is 3, right? 3 water is exactly half of 6. So that means if half of 17, that is 8.5. If 8.5 would have been added, the ratio would have remained the same, right? Right? 8.5 liter would have been added, the ratio wouldn't have changed, but I have added 5 liter lesser of this. Are you getting this? Right? So in a way you can also understand, I took out 5 liters. I took out 5 liters and the ratio actually became now 5:2. That means water is added in the same ratio, right? Water is added. So 5:2 can also, initial ratio was 17:6. This ratio can be taken as 15:2 into 5 into 3, 2 into 3. This is the logical method. Okay, what I am doing is, I am making the water is all right, right? Half of 6 is 3. That is all right. So half of 17, 8.5 should have been added, but I didn't add that much. I added 5 less, as you can see. I have added 5 less, but that is real figure is 5. In my example, 17:6, 15. 5, 2 can be taken as 15:6. How much less it is added? 2, right? 2. So 2 stands for 5. Are you getting this? If these 2 stands for 5, that means 2.5 times. Then that means this 15:6, right? So 15 will be also 2.5 times. So 15 into 2.5 will become 37.5. Wouldn't it be? 37.5. If this 2 is actually 5, so yeah, 37.5. Now 37.5 is the final mixture after adding 3.5, right? After adding 3.5. So minus 3.5 will be 34. So if you say 34 is exactly twice of it, 17 twos are, that means everything is twice. So 3 will also be twice. But this is a bit difficult, right? everybody wouldn't have that kind of a logic to think like this. That is why I said even making a normal equation is pretty straightforward. But yes, I actually did this something like this. Again, I am telling you how I understood it. I didn't even use my pen. I didn't make any equation. As soon as I look at this question, I understood like 6 to 3, and then the logic strikes, because I actually understood it is half. So I thought, what if half was added? 17 is half, 8.5. Then the ratio would have maintained. But here the ratio is 15:6. That means 2 lesser. So 2 lesser, so I understood. If it is 2 lesser, that means here it says 5 lesser, right? So it is 2.5 times. So I said, okay, 15 into 2.5, 37.5. This is the final, right? After adding this 3.5. So 37.5 before adding 3.5 would have been 34, and 34 is exactly twice of my example. So that means real figures are double. That means this 3 would be double as well. The answer would be 6. But this is a bit difficult. So don't worry about it. Maybe it may not strike your mind, right? But at least going by normal equation also, it was pretty straightforward. Alright then. So I am actually taking more and more difficult questions as we go by. Alright. I think first couple of questions were easy enough. You can easily solve them, right? Alright. What about the third one? Think about this. Again, you can pause the video and try to do it on your own first. It's very important that you do it or try it on your own first, so that your learning will be real. Just give me a sec. So hopefully you could figure it out, right? Shouldn't be at all any problem. I'll simply remove this. Why it's Hindi? Just let me have a look. Others are okay. That's okay. One is not in English. I think it must be a mistake, but let's sort it out from here, right? All others were in English anyway. Okay, no worries. We'll take this English version. We'll solve it here, right? There is enough space here as well. So 3 vessels contain 2 liters, 5 liters and 9 liters of mixture of milk and water with milk concentration of this and this percentage. Find the ratio of milk and water in the mixture where all 3 vessels are mixed, right? So basically, what is the percentage of milk? Let's try to understand. 90%, 80% and 70%. When all 3 are added, we are supposed to find out generally the average percentage, right? Then we'll find the percentage of milk. Pretty straightforward. And average, because the weights are different, it's a weighted average, right? This is pretty straightforward to understand. That means 90% for 2 liters, so 180, plus 80% for 5 times, 400, plus 70% for 9 times, 630, and divide by sum of the weightage. 2 plus 5, 7 plus 9, 16. There you go. This is the percentage of water, average percentage of water in the mixture, isn't it? That's the concept. If you are thorough with your average concept, you should be able to understand that this particular question can be solved using weighted average. And there you go. This should be pretty easy. This total would be what? 180, 630 would be 7, 10, 8, 10, 1210, right? 1210, isn't it? Divided by 16 percentage. Or you can say 605, right? Half of it divided by 8 percentage, right? Or in other words, this can be taken as, look, percentage means 1 by 100. So when you remove percentage, 605 divided by 800. Now that means this is the milk. That means milk is out of 800, 605 is milk. So if out of 800, 605 is milk, that means remaining 195 is water. Fair enough, because then and then only total becomes 800. So what will be the ratio? Both are divisible by 5, right? So you can say 121, I'll just simply write here 121, just twice of it, 60.5 twice of it, it would be 121, 19.5 twice of it, 39. So that it's easier to find it out. 121 is to 39. There you go, right? Were there the options or no? No, options were not given, but doesn't matter, right? We can easily solve it. I just thought in case the options are there, let's tick it to get that satisfaction of completion. But doesn't matter. The answer should have been 121 is to 39. Fair enough, right? So I hope you are enjoying this. These are very important questions. Alright, these are new pattern questions and these are actually asked. Think about this question as well, right? Think about it. It's just a bit off like geometry question, but should be easy. pause this video. In case you want Hindi version, I can also give you Hindi version. Pause here and solve this question. Alright, fine. So hopefully it was easy. Look, the thing is that in this particular question, there is some over data, which is not required. Just to confuse you, they are giving you more data. If they wouldn't give you more data, you would be able to solve it. But because they are giving you some extra data, you are thinking, how would I use it? How would I use it? The thing is that you are not supposed to use them, right? It's not required. Let's try to understand what the data is. Of course, as soon as we go for geometry, it's important to visualize. So we'll draw a figure. On the top of a hemispherical dome of radius r, there is a flag of height h. Now we know hemispherical is something like this, right? So in here, this is hemispherical. Now here there is a flag, right? Here there is a flag of height h, okay? And this radius is r, so that means this is r, this is r, this is r, right? Radius, we know. Hemispherical, we should be knowing. Now, from one point on the ground, the elevation of the top of the flag is 30 degree. Maybe it could be anywhere here. This elevation here is 30 degree, okay? Then they say after moving a distance of d towards the dome, as we are moving towards the dome, somewhere after moving d, when the flag is just visible, we reach to a place where flag is just visible. This flag is actually, so if the dome is like this, you can understand, just visible would be like this, right? This kind of a figure. So let's make a triangle, okay? Let's make a triangle like this, and this is obviously 90 degree. Now just visible, and here it says it is 45 degree, okay? It's just visible, okay? Now they are saying find the ratio of h to r. H is this, r is this. What will be the ratio? Now obviously if this is 45 degree, this is also going to be 45 degree. So this side and this side are going to be the same. So if this is r, this is also going to be h. RH, RH, right? R plus h would be the total length of side. Now they are asking us to find the ratio of h to r. Now tell me, just imagine there is a triangle with 45 degree, two sides are 45 degree, one angle is 90 degree. So we can understand this triangle, and in this triangle, obviously this is your radius, right? This is your radius, like this way or this way, right? So this is also your radius, right? As you can see, this is all hemisphere, right? So it's a circle. So radius, right? We can all understand this. So the question becomes, what will be the ratio of h to r? Does this make any sense to use this data? Because in any particular triangle with 90 degree, 45 degree and 45 degree, this side would have a same ratio it will make to this radius, right? Whether it is making this d distance doesn't make any difference. So what were the options? The options 1 or 2 were with respect of d. I think it is not of any use anyway. It should be one of this. But anyway, if there were all the options in respect of d, I would simply eliminate all other options, but there's 2 still left, so we'll have to calculate it. But are you getting it? Why? Because in any 90 degree triangle, think of a 90 degree triangle like this, okay, where these two sides are same, okay. Now in this, the ratio of this to obviously this, right, this, because this is going to be the radius. So ratio of this and this will be, it does not depend upon what the d is, yes or no. It would be a constant, it would be constant. In any triangle, that ratio would be same. It does not depend upon how much it is extended, or doesn't matter, right? Or what would be the elevation, 30 degree, that difference or that distance does not make any difference. So now if we try to understand how much would the ratio be, let's assume r is 1 to make it easy. Say all r's are 1, okay, all r's are 1. Now try to understand, this here would also be 90 degree, right? Right. So this here, because this is 45 degree triangle, so when it will go here, this will also be 90 degree. If it is 90 degree, this is 45 degree, so this will also be 45 degree, right? So try to understand, these and these will also be equal, right? Because both these are 45 degree. So if this is r, this is also r, right? So this is also 1. So in a way, this is 1, this is 1, this is 1. Are you getting it? In any triangle, you can think about this. And if this is 1 and this is 1, this side is 1, okay. If this side is 1, this side is 1, we know Pythagoras, right? The length of hypotenuse will be 1 square plus 1 square whole square root, so that means root 2. So this whole length will be root 2, out of which this is 1, so h will be root 2 minus 1, right? Because the whole length will become root 2 and this is 1, so whole length is root 2 minus 1 will be h, and the question is ratio of h to r. H is root 2 minus 1, r is 1, so root 2 minus 1 upon 1, that is root 2 minus 1 has to be your answer. So there you go. It was pretty straightforward if you try to understand it, but if you think about using this data, it was all of no use. All right, fine, simple enough, straightforward, easy. Okay, what about next one? Think about this question, very important question, and yeah, this is kind of a question which is asked, so you should know about it. Even in the recent examination of CSAT, one similar question was asked. So important question. Please pause the video and try to do it on your own first. Look, I'll simply remove it. Now try to understand. A set of consecutive positive integers beginning with 1 is written. A student came along and erased one number. The average of the remaining number is this. Now, as soon as I think about some consecutive numbers from 1, I know, like if 1 to 50 is written, the average would be around 25 in the middle. Yes or no? Around. If 1 to hundreds are written, the average would be around 50. I know the average would be somewhere in between, right? Even if I erase one number, that would hardly make any difference. One here or there could be possible, but not much, right? All right. So now try to understand here. If average is around 35, how many numbers would have been written? Around 70. Around. It could be even 69, 68, 71, 72. I don't know, but around 70, because average is 35 point something, right? So the numbers written would be 1 to around 70. But then there is another catch that you can have. The catch is average is something divided by 17, right? What is the multiple of 17 near 70? 17, 34, 51, 68. Are you getting it? 68, right? Getting this? Because this is the average. Are you getting it? So when this is the average, that means something divided by 17 is the average. This into this plus this divided by 17. Are you getting it? But the average would be divided by 68, because here the average would be sum divided by 70, but roughly it would be 68, right? So I would say that means the numbers would be up to 69 actually, because when one number is removed and then you find out the average, are you getting it? The average would be sum divided by 68, which resembles to this, which makes sense. Are you getting this? So that's the logic. That is what Btitude is all about. That is your pure understanding, sheer understanding. So if you understand this, right, that if 35 is the average, around 70 numbers are there. Second, next, if something divided by 17 is the way to find the average, that means total should be 68 numbers, but one is already removed. That means 1 to 69. That means the person would have written 1 to 69 and one number is removed. All right. Now it's very easy to understand. How? Try to understand. If 1 to 69 are written, what will be the sum of 1 to 69? N plus 1 by 2, right? 69 into 70 by 2, that is 69 into 35. Pretty easy. So this should have been the total. This should have been the total. All right. Now let's understand what is the total. Now what is this? 35 into 17 plus 7, right? 35 into 17 plus 7 divided by 17, right? So now if you understand, try to understand into 4 into 4. Do into 4 up and into 4 down. That means there wouldn't be any difference, right? It wouldn't make any difference. So into 4 here and into 4 on here. Are you getting this? Right? Or even if you try to understand, just why I did, so that you understand that sum will be this divided by 68 will be the average, right? So 68 numbers. So now sum will be this, right? Sum will be 35 into 17 will make it 510, 595 plus 7, 602 into 4, 2408, right? 2408. Yeah, this would be the sum. This is the sum of after eliminating that number, and then the sum should have been this 69 into 35, that should be 9 5s are 45, 5, 4, 2 1 1 5, right? So 2 4, just a minute, 9 5s are 45, 5 4 is the carry, 20 31 30 61 1 6 carry, sorry, 18 and 6 24, 2 4 1 5. So if you try to understand, the difference between this and this is 7, right? The difference is 7. That means which number was removed? 7 was removed. Are you getting it? So with good amount of understanding, if you have done this kind of a question before, or you have got good amount of understanding, you can directly understand, okay, because 35 point something, total around 70, but 17, so around 68, so 69. Let's try to understand what will be the sum of first 69 numbers. 69 into 35, 2415. Okay, that should have been the total. But now what is the total? This into this plus 7, but into 4, right? Into 4, why? Because actually it is not divided by 17, divided by 68, right? So total will be into 4, down will be also into 4. So total will be 2408. What is the difference? 7. So 7 is actually removed or erased. Fine, because total should have been this, but total is this. That means the number removed is 7. Alright then, what about this one? Think about this question as well. Really an interesting question. Fine. Should be easy. Think about it. Pause the video. Try to do it on your own first. Alright, I'll simply remove this Hindi version. Fine. Let's try to understand how we can understand this. The average marks of same is decreased by 1 when one exam where is scored 40 marks is replaced with 2 new exams where is scored this and this. Now 23 and 25, what is the total? Total is 48. So can I say, instead of these marks, can I even say 40 and 8? It's the same thing, right? It doesn't make any difference, but it makes a whole lot of difference for me, because I can directly understand that 40 doesn't make any difference. That means one exam was added with 8 marks. I can also interpret this as that, right? If you have logic, you will do that, right? Because you will understand if 40 is replaced with 40, that does not make any difference. Fair enough. So this is total is 48. That means one extra subject is added with 8 marks. So when one subject in which he got 8 marks is added, his average went down by 1, right? Okay. Next, afterwards, when his 57 marks in computer science is also added, so one more subject is added where he has got 57 marks, his average increases by 2. Okay. Then find the initial number of subjects. That's your question. Now, if you see here, there are 2 things missing. First of all, we don't even know the average, neither we know the subject, right? So we don't know number of subjects as well, like initial number of subject, and we don't know their average as well. Maybe average is say x bar. I mean, I am from statistics background, so I usually put average as x bar. Okay, you can put x, y, z, anything, doesn't really matter. So average is say x bar. Now I'll have to interpret this. So when n observations were already there with x bar as an average, now one new observation with 8 is added, average becomes -1. Then when the new observation as 57 is added, average increases by 2. How will you interpret this? Okay. So because there are 2 variables missing, no logic will work. Not direct logic will work. And then we are not left with option, because 2 variables are missing. You can take one, you can go by option, but then it will be for every option you will have to calculate, and that will also be a bit time taking. If we pick up the option which is right, it's okay, otherwise it can be time taking. So no shortcut, no option, no formula, of course. So maybe we'll have to frame an equation. Okay, let's frame an equation. Maybe it's easy enough. Try to understand this. Average is decreased by 1. That means this value 8 is equal to less than the average. Of course, that's why average is decreased. How much less? It decreased 1, value 1 in all the observations, n plus 1. Now the observations are n plus 1. So that means 8 is nothing but whatever the average was, it is less than that by n plus 1. Okay, that could be your first equation. What would be the second equation? Now from here we have got 57 marks, which is nothing but we increase the average by 2. So whatever the previous average was x bar minus 1, right? Original average minus 1. It was already minus 1. Original average minus 1. This was the average. It is more than that. That's why it increased the average. How much more? 2 more for total observations are n plus 2. So it is more than that, 2 n plus 2. So 2 equations, 2 variables, I think not a bad thing, because x bar can easily be cancelled as well and we can find our n, which was the question. So let's try to understand. Here I can rewrite this as 8 is equal to x bar minus n and minus 1 I will take to the other side. So it will become 9, okay, or x bar minus n is equal to 9. Just let me write like this, okay. Getting this minus 1, when it will go to the other side, it will become plus 1. Here also it is x bar minus 1 plus 2n plus 4. So it will become actually 57. So this minus 1 and plus 4 is actually plus 3. Plus 3 when will go other side, minus 3. So 57 minus 3 will become 54. 54, and here it will become x bar plus 2n. X bar plus 2n. So when I will simply deduct this equation from this, so x bar minus x bar will be cancelled. 2n minus minus n will become 3n. 54 minus 9 will become 45. So n is nothing but 15. There you go, right? So sometimes making an equation could also be a way, right? When there is no other way, you can go by an equation. But try to understand one thing. The thing was that even here framing an equation, we use logic, right? Because we had to use logic, that when, again I am telling you what the logic was. When this is the value 8, right, and because of it the average is going down by 1, that means this is lesser than the original average. Original average is taken as x bar. X bar, how much lesser it is? Because it brought down the value by 1. So 1 of how many observations? N plus 1 observations. So n plus 1 into 1, that much it is lesser, okay. Now this value is bigger than the previous average. Previous average is x bar minus 1. So x bar minus 1 is the previous average. It has to be greater because it increased the average. How much greater it would be? Plus, because it increased 2 average of all the observations. Total observations are now n plus 1 plus 1, n plus 2, 2n plus 2, right? And there you go. But it was a good question. Look, you can also go by an option. If you think like this, sir, what if I go by an option? Right now I know the answer, right? So if I go by an option, like, and luckily it was also the first option, so we can try first option maybe and it would work. So if I think like initial number of subjects are 15, now I will think, okay, if initial number of subjects were 15, I don't know the average, there would have been some average. Now if you understand, like 40, that means 8 is extra, right? So when one subject with 8 marks is added, the average goes down by minus 1. Now if you understand, if 1 is added and average is going down by minus 1, that means that one subject's marks are how much lesser than the average? It is 15 plus 1, 16. 16 into minus 1, 16 lesser. Now its marks are 8. If it is 16 lesser, that means original average would have been 24, right? So here also it was logic. But if you understand the logic, you can also go by an option. But here, you know, for each and every option, you will have to do this calculation. Now let's go further. So now we can understand that, okay, 15 subjects, 24 was the average. Now it is 16 subjects and 24 minus 1, 23 is the average, right? Now if one more subject comes up with 57 marks, so one more subject with 57 marks, what will happen? So now I will think how much more it is than the average? 34, and this 34 will be divided among 16 plus 1, 17 subjects. Yes, exactly, it is 2. That means average will increase by 2. That matches, right? That matches with these two. That means it is the right option. But in case it was not right, we would have to take another option, and again all those calculations we will have to do, right? So that's why I didn't go by an option. But now just to make you understand or realize how it actually fits in to the data, I did it as well. Fine, fair enough. So this is how, look, these are the new questions, and these are no way the questions that I have framed. I don't want to, you know, I would say harass you by any means, okay. So don't think, oh, these are kind of the questions, how is it possible? Look, these are kind of the questions which are asked in the exam. These are not the questions framed by me. So don't blame me for this. Alright. Fine. Okay, then what about this one? Think about this. How can you solve this kind of a question? Very good question. Again, you can pause the video and try to do it on your own first. May I remove the Hindi version? Fine. Okay. A solution contain wine and water in this ratio. 36 liter of this solution is replaced by water. Now, as soon as I'll stop here. I'll just try to understand that because this was the ratio. In 36, okay, sorry. This is a mistake, replaced by, I think it was 15, yeah, 15 liters of water. Sorry in case you pause the video and try to do it and didn't get it properly. I think it was 15 liters of water. Was it here? No, but it is 15 liters. I think it's a mistake. Somehow it is not typed properly. Fine. But because I have solved the question, so I do remember, it is 15 liters of water. So now try to understand. 36 liter of this solution is replaced by 15 liters of water. And now, so if you read this much, you will remember that out of 36 liter, when it is removed, obviously, because the ratio is 2:1, so 24 wine would be removed, right? Wine would be minus 24 and then minus 12 of water. But then 15 water is added. So overall, wine is removed by 24 and water is added 3, right? So what happened here? When this whole operation is done, that means there was certain wine and water, right, in the ratio of 2:1. Then minus 24 is done here, plus 3 is done here, and then there is some ratio which we don't know. Then there is some ratio which we don't know. Now again 26 liter of this solution is replaced by water. Now this is very difficult because we don't know this ratio. So when we are taking out 26 liter, what happened? It's very difficult to understand, right? So I would say we cannot proceed with the logical method anyway. Then I would think there is no formula for this question anyway. What if we go by an option? Let's try to understand what is the question and how we can go by an option. So when 26 liter is replaced by water, this is the new ratio, and then they say find the difference between initial and final quantity of water in the solution. Initial quantity of water would obviously be 1/3 of total, but we don't know what the total is. And last quantity will be obviously 7/15 of total. But the problem is we cannot figure that one out as well because we don't know the last quantity as well. So this is a bit tricky, isn't it? So that means you cannot go by an option. You cannot proceed with your logic. You cannot answer it by any option. That means only equation is possible, but equation would be too lengthy. Because you know you would have to say 2x, 1x, 2x minus 24, x plus 3, and then 26 liter is gone in that ratio. That ratio itself is very big. So it would be very difficult. So you know, when I looked at this question, even I wasted my 1 minute thinking about that, okay, no method is possible. Just to think about that none of those usual method, by equation it is obviously possible, that's the last option, but that would, I understood, because I understood kind of the equations that I'll have to frame, that we took minimum 3-4 minutes to solve it. So I thought, oh, that is not possible. This question is just not possible. And then I thought, what about trial and error method? This is not the method like replica method, you know, logical method. It is kind of a logic, but logic without any aim. Like I would say, what if I just assume some numbers and it fits in? But then you have to be good in assuming the numbers. So I thought, okay, let me try. Basically, 36 liters of solution is replaced with 15 liters of water. So overall, 21 liters is taken off. So whatever the total liter was, 21, right? Minus 24 plus 3. So minus 21 overall. In total, the mixture is reduced by 21. Whatever the total, it is reduced by 21. And then I am thinking, because now 26 liter of this water is replaced. That means when 26 liter is taken out, okay, that means the sum of say wine and water, wine is to water, right? Wine and water, if it is in the ratio of say 2:1, if we take 26, it would be very not comfortable, right? Because 26 is not divisible by 3. So it should be in the ratio, you know, in which the total should be a factor of 26. So I thought maybe 13. 13 looks like as a only factor. So sum of these two will be 13. Then it makes sense, right? 8 is to 5, or maybe 9 is to 4, 13, or maybe 7 is to 6, 13. So then 26 liter is easy to be distributed in this ratio. That means now this mixture is a multiple of 13. Somehow I thought this mixture must be a multiple of 13. Then I thought, okay, then this mixture, the total when 26 liter is removed and replaced with water, total still remains same. And then the ratio becomes this. That means a multiple of 15. 8 plus 7 is 15. So I thought T minus 21, total minus 21 is multiple of 13 as well and is multiple of 15 as well. 15 and 13 both multiple, that means 195. So that means this is multiple of 195. 195 into 1, 195 into 2, something like that. So I thought, let me try with 195 into 1. So 190, just first normal example. So if T minus 21 is 195, total will become 195 plus 21, that means 216. If total is 216, then 216, let me just check if it fits into all the data or not. 216, 2 is to 1, that means 72 into 3, so 72 into 2. So I would say 144 and 72 into, okay, just 72, right? That makes it 216. Now I thought if minus 24 and plus 3 is done, minus 24 plus 3, so then it becomes 120 and 75. Now this ratio is nothing but 15 8s are 15 5s are, so 8 is to 5. So now when 26 liter is taken off, 26, 16 and 10 will be taken off, minus 16 minus 10, and then obviously this would become 104, this would become 65, but then all 26 of water is added plus 26. So then water will become 91, right? Is this ratio 104 is to 91, 8 is to 7, 13 8s are 13 7s are? Yes, it is. So I just took a random example and it worked. Otherwise, it could be very difficult. So, you know, in a way, this question took even me 2 minutes to solve it. First minute, I just realized no method is working. I thought of every method and I thought, no, it cannot work. And then I thought, now what can I do? Let me just try to make an example. If some numbers can fit into it and if it solves the question, and luckily, just the first example solved it. But if it wouldn't have, then you know, this question was actually the question which you should have left in the exam. Alright, because with equation you can solve it obviously by investing 3, 4, 5 minutes. I don't know, I've never tried because the equation would be really lengthy. Okay, so I just tried to take an example and then it worked out, right? So good enough, fine. So the answer would have been okay, the answer still we haven't got. What would be the answer? The initial water was 72, last water is 91, the difference is 19. There you go, right? The difference would have been 19. So very interesting question, but really difficult question, and that's what I've done in this particular video. I've taken all those kind of difficult questions which have been asked in some recent examinations, but they are really good, right? Because yeah, this is the new trend, right? What can we do? Fine. Alright then, what about this one? Think about this one. Not that difficult. I think you can solve it. Pause the video. It should be an easy question. You should be able to solve it. Take your time, no worries. I'll simply remove this. Hopefully you got it, right? Okay, let's have an understanding. There were 14 students in the class. When the ages of teacher and a new boy is added, the averages increases by 10%, but when only the age of new boy is added, the average is unchanged. As soon as I read this first statement, I understand that whatever the 14 students averages is, that's the same age of a new boy, because when new boy's age is added, the average does not change. That means 14 plus 1, 15th boys. If 14 boy average was say x bar, 15 boys average is also x bar. Okay, but when teacher is added, then the average goes up by 10%, right? Okay, now I'll understand. Okay, 10%, so I'll assume 100% for all the students. Okay, so these particular teacher, right, this teacher, if their average was say 100%, 15 students average was 100%, right? Now teachers is actually increasing whole 16 people's average by 10%. 16 into 10 is 160, so his average would be 100 plus this additional 160, so 260, right? Are you getting it? So what is the ratio of, look, there are various ways you can find it out, find this 260. One way is if you can think like logically like me, then this is direct way. Again, I am explaining. If 15 students age was 100 as an average, new student, because he is increasing the average, his average would be 100 plus something, right? 100 plus something. How much additional? Because he is increasing everybody's age by 10%. 16 people, right? 15 students plus himself. 16 into 10, he is 160 plus. That means his age would be 260. In case this is too much logical for you and you think, no sir, what about some traditional normal method? Then also it is possible. How? Pretty easy, because 15 people's age is 100, 16 people's age is 110, because when teacher is added, average is increased by 110. What is the total here? 1500. What is the total here? 1600 plus 160, 1760. What is the difference? 1760 and 1500? 260. That is a bit lengthy method, but at least easy. Fine. So depends upon you how you want to arrive at getting 260. But once you get 260, you understand that okay, so teacher's age is 260, student age is, average age is 100. So what is the ratio? 5:13. 5:13. Okay, that is the ratio of the age. Now you go. If teacher age is 8 more, then twice the age of a new student. If I look at here, teacher's age is 5 2s are 10, 3 more, right? Twice the age of a student will be 10, 3 more. So in my example, it is 3 more. And if this 3 stands for 8 in real, what is the average age of 40 students? Average age of 40 student is 5. So what is this 5? So it will be 8 5s are 40 by 3, 13.33. Right? So the answer would be, or you can say 13 1 by 3, whatever way you want to put it in. So that is how you can actually solve this question. Fair enough. Easy, I think, must be termed as an easy question, not really difficult, but again, really new pattern, right? This is not kind of a question which have been asked for over some years, right? Very new pattern. So that's why I took it. Last one, again a new pattern of question. Last question, right? But very good question. Think about this, how you can really solve it. Post this video. Hopefully you could solve it. There wouldn't be any problem. I would simply remove this one, right? I'll simply remove this Hindi version. Let's have a look at how we can actually solve this. Fine? Fair enough? Of course. Have a look. It says household was buying certain quantity of rice for rupees 1200. Budget is reduced by 100 and increase of price by 10%. And because of this, he can buy 8 kg lesser. Now try to understand. Btitude method is, if she had to buy this 8 kg, okay, if there was a hike in price by 10%, she should invest 10% more. That means if she would have invested 10% of 1200 is 120 more, then she could have bought that 8 kg, right? But right now she did not increase his budget by 120, she actually reduced it by 100. That means from current scenario, right, she should have increased this and she should not decrease. So in total, if she would have invested 220 more, 100 she shouldn't have decreased. Keep 1200 plus 120. So she should have actually spent 1320, right, to buy the same quantity, because price is increased by 10%. Are you getting it? She should have actually invested 10% more, 1200 plus 120, 1320. But she actually reduced it by 100. So she only invested or spent 1100. So how much more should she have invested? 220. If she would have invested or spent 220 more, she would be able to buy this 8 kg. So that's your price, right? 220 by 8. That would be, I think, divided by 4. 55 by 2. That's it, 27.5. There you go, right? As simple as that. And that is Btitude for you, right? If you can think like these terms, you can answer the questions easily. That is logic. If you can develop logic, that is all it is about, most of the times. Or maybe sometimes, as you saw, going by an option, sometimes you have to frame equation as well. If there is no other way, then that could also be the way, right? So Btitude is all about looking at the question, understanding first, is it logic possible? No. Maybe formula? No. Option? No. Then equation? Maybe. So equation, yes, but then it is your preference whether you will try to invest your time making equation, solving it, or you will simply leave it. It depends upon you. Fine? And depends upon the exam, what kind of an exam it is, how difficult is it, everything. All other factors then play their role, right? So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you really got some insights into this kind of new pattern questions, right? So get ready for it, and we are coming up with more and more this kind of the videos as well. Fine. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please like, share, subscribe, comment. I think you all know this, but please do it, because I'm really disappointed with my students. Please put the comments. That's the most important thing, because I've just recently heard that YouTube promote the videos where students find it interesting. And what is YouTube's criteria? Where there are more comments, they think that yes, this is an interesting video, and then they will send it to some more viewers, and that way I can also get more and more viewers. Fine. So please do that. Put your comments, put your doubts, even whatever your doubts. If you would have done some different kind of question, problem, sum, and if you are not finding it easy, and if you want to find out the Btitude kind of solution for your question as well, put that in the comment. We will come up with another video like this as well. Fine. So that's about it, right? Keep watching, keep learning, and keep enjoying.